They mocked her for being a virgin, but in the quiet village of Ino, lived a young girl named Inim. She was kind, intelligent, and carried a radiant smile wherever she went. But more than anything, Inim was committed to a promise she had made to herself and her family: she would stay pure until marriage. It was a choice she held close to her heart, though not everyone around her understood it. Inim had a group of friends, Ada, Ino, and Udu, who loved to have fun. They often teased her about her decision, struggling to comprehend why she chose to wait. One day at school, Ada whispered to Ino, "Did you hear? Inim still wants to wait until marriage." They giggled, dismissing her values as old-fashioned. Inim overheard their conversation, and a pound of sadness hit her heart. But she remained silent, unwilling to argue about a decision she firmly believed in. After school, Udu confronted Inim. "Why do you want to wait, Inim? Everyone is doing it." Inim smiled softly. "It's my choice," she said. "I believe it's the right thing for me." One evening, Ino invited Inim to a party. "Come on, Inim. It will be fun." At first, Inim hesitated but eventually agreed, hoping to enjoy time with her friends. At the party, she met a boy named Emma. "He's nice," Ada said with a wink. Inim smiled politely but felt uncomfortable when Emma tried to get close to her. "You're really beautiful," he whispered. "Thank you," Inim replied, keeping her distance. When he tried to hold her hand, she gently pulled away. "I'm not ready for this," she said firmly. The next day, Ada and Ino teased her again. "You're missing out on all the fun," they said. Inim felt hurt but stayed strong. Soon, the whole school was gossiping about her. She felt alone and isolated, but she refused to break her promise. She returned home in tears, and her mother, Mama Inim, noticed her sadness. "What's wrong, my child?" she asked gently. "Mama, everyone is making fun of me because of my choice," Inim sobbed. Mama Inim hugged her tightly. "You are strong, Inim. Don't let others change who you are. Stay true to yourself." One day, a new girl named Ife joined their class. She was kind and quickly became friends with Inim. "I support your decision, Inim. I think you're brave," she said. "Don't let anyone make you feel bad about your choice." As time passed, the teasing turned into bullying. Ada and Ino spread rumors, making Inim feel even more isolated. One day, she couldn't take it anymore. She ran to the school garden and cried. Ife found her there and comforted her. The school principal, Mr. Essen, soon heard about the bullying and called Ada and Ino to his office. "Bullying is not tolerated in this school. You must apologize to Inim and ensure this does not happen again." Reluctantly, Ada and Ino apologized. "We are sorry for teasing you," they said, though Inim knew they didn't mean it. Despite their insincerity, Inim grew stronger. She focused on her studies and spent time with Ife, who always supported her. When the school announced a competition, Inim decided to participate. She wanted to prove her worth beyond the ridicule. She worked tirelessly on her project, with Ife helping her along the way. The day of the competition arrived, and though nervous, Inim presented her project with confidence. Her hard work paid off. She won first prize. The whole school cheered, and even Ada and Ino were speechless. Her victory earned her the respect of her classmates. Even Ada and Ino began to see her differently. Ada and Ino approached Inim. "We were wrong to tease you, Inim. You're strong and smart. We are sorry." Inim smiled. "I forgive you," she said. "Let's move forward and be better friends." With newfound confidence and true friendships, Inim felt happy and at peace. She stayed true to her promise and was proud of herself. She began sharing her story with others, teaching them the importance of standing by their values despite peer pressure. Her strength and determination paved the way for a bright future. Her academic excellence and strong principles earned her a scholarship to one of the top universities in Nigeria. Despite the challenges of moving away from her village, Inim thrived in her studies, majoring in business administration. She made new friends who respected her values and supported her ambitions. During her final year, Inim met Chinedu, a successful entrepreneur who visited her campus as a guest speaker. He was impressed by her insightful questions and the way she carried herself. Their friendship blossomed into a deep, respectful relationship built on shared values. After graduating with honors, Inim was ready to embark on the next chapter of her life. Chinedu stood by her as she navigated job offers and pursued her dream of starting her own business. Her family was proud of her accomplishments, and Chinedu was warmly welcomed into their home. Eventually, he proposed, and Inim joyfully accepted. Their traditional Nigerian wedding was a joyous occasion, filled with love, laughter, and the fulfillment of Inim's long-held promise to herself. Meanwhile, Eda's path was marked by regret and pain. After multiple relationships and several terminated pregnancies, she faced complications that left her unable to conceive. She struggled with guilt and loneliness, wishing she had made different choices. Her once vibrant life had taken a tragic turn. Ino, too, suffered. After ignoring the risks of her reckless lifestyle, she contracted HIV/AIDS. She ignored the symptoms until it was too late. Her health deteriorated rapidly, and she passed away at a young age, a painful lesson for those who knew her. Udu, unable to further her education, got pregnant out of wedlock. Disowned by her parents, she struggled to take care of her son and eventually married a palm wine tapper in the village to make ends meet. In contrast, Inim and Chinedu were blessed with children and built a happy, prosperous family. They instilled in their children the same values that had guided Inim throughout her life: integrity, respect, and making responsible choices. Years later, Inim reconnected with Ino, who had distanced herself after her struggles. Inim, full of compassion, reached out to her with support and friendship. Their renewed bond became a source of healing for Ino, who found solace in Inim's kindness. Looking back on her life, Inim felt fulfilled and at peace. She had stayed true to herself and reaped the rewards of her choices. Her story became an inspiration to many, a testament to the power of integrity and resilience. As she and Chinedu became pillars of their community, mentoring young people and guiding them through the challenges of growing up, their legacy grew. They reminded others that true success isn't just measured by achievements but by the values one holds. In her later years, Inim sat with her grandchildren, sharing the lessons of her youth. Her life, though filled with challenges, was ultimately a story of triumph and fulfillment. She passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones, leaving behind a legacy of wisdom, kindness, and integrity. Her story continued to inspire future generations, a beacon of hope proving that staying true to oneself, even in the face of adversity, is the greatest triumph of all.
In the first part of the They Mocked Her for Being a Virgin, But series, our lead character Inim, a principled and intelligent girl from the village of Ino, chose to remain pure until marriage despite constant mockery from her peers. Though bullied and isolated, she stayed true to her values, eventually earning admiration through academic excellence and personal strength. Her integrity led to a scholarship, a successful career, and a loving marriage with Chinedu. Meanwhile, her former mockers faced tragic consequences due to their choices. Inim's life became a testament to the power of virtue, resilience, and staying true to oneself, leaving behind a legacy that inspired generations. Welcome to the second part, titled They Mocked Her for Being a Virgin, But she fought a secret cult in the university. Inim's university life was blossoming: new friends, academic success, and a healthy romance with Chinedu. But everything changed when a friend mysteriously vanished. Inim's investigations led her to a secret cult operating within the campus, luring female students with lavish gifts and parties. When her fiancé Chinedu is falsely accused of being a cult patron, Inim risks everything, her scholarship, her safety, and her reputation, to expose the cult. But the cult fights back, and she's forced into hiding after surviving a brutal attack. Will her integrity and faith be enough to bring justice and protect the innocent before more lives are lost? Inim had always been the girl they mocked. Back in her village of Ino, she was teased for holding on to her values, especially her decision to remain a virgin until marriage. But time had proven her right. While still a final-year student at Kingsway University, she had gained the respect of her peers, not because she compromised, but because she stood firm. She was a scholar, a student leader, and had even found love, genuine, respectful love, with Chinedu, a guest lecturer and entrepreneur who admired her principles more than her beauty. Life was finally aligning for Inim. Until Blessing disappeared. Blessing was a vibrant second-year student who lived 2 doors from her in the hostel and shared elective classes with one of Inim's roommates. They weren't close, just acquaintances. But Inim noticed things. Like how Blessing had changed since she started hanging out with the Glitz, a group of girls known for their flashy lifestyles, designer bags, weekend trips, and whisper-worthy escapades with older men. One Monday morning, Blessing was absent. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, a rumor began to spread that she had traveled abroad with a senator's son. But something about that story didn't sit right with Inim. Blessing had once confided in Inim's roommate after class, whispering that she was tired of the games and wanted to be clean again. By Friday, Blessing's name no longer appeared on the class attendance sheet. That night, Inim lay on her hostel bed staring at the ceiling. Something felt wrong. Deeply wrong. She opened her WhatsApp and scrolled to her last conversation with Blessing. Just a single emoji, sent at 1:47 a.m. the previous week. A cold chill ran down her spine. The school authority either seemed not to care or just didn't know what to do about the matter of a missing student. All they did was to report the case to the police, and they unconsciously patted themselves on the back for a job well done. The student union also didn't have answers to the problem. Students were reacting to how the student union government was nonchalant in the welfare of a fellow student that had gone missing for almost a week. Had the parents been notified? Was Blessing alive? What next? Nobody knew. Determined to find answers, Inim began asking questions. She approached students quietly, always cautious, always respectful. Most brushed her off. Some warned her to mind her business. "You don't mess with them, Inim," one classmate whispered. "They see everything, even your dreams." It wasn't until she visited the campus chapel that she got her first real clue. Pastor Gideon, a youthful and discerning chaplain, listened intently as Inim described her concerns. "You're not the first person to raise suspicion," he said. "But everyone who tries to investigate, something happens to them. Injuries, withdrawals, even mental breakdowns. Whatever this is, it's bigger than it looks." Some days later, while walking to the lecture hall, Inim spotted something odd, a shiny object, Blessing's gold wristband, one she always wore, dangling from a tree behind the Student Affairs building. The spot was secluded, and it didn't make sense for the bracelet to be there unless someone wanted it found. When she retrieved it, a small paper fell from inside its clasp. Room 304. Girls' Hall C. Midnight. On the phone, Chinedu begged her not to go. "Babe, this is serious. If this is what I think it is, it's a trap." "I know," Inim replied. "But I can't pretend anymore. I have to know what happened to her." He prayed with her, let her know he is going to use his influence to the police commissioner, in case something happened to her. She vehemently refused his offer. After much argument, he accepted to let her go alone if that was what she wanted. At midnight, she snuck into the shadows of Girls' Hall C. Room 304 was eerily silent. Unknown to her, a shadow lurked outside, behind her. Watching. Inim knocked softly. No answer. She tried the handle. Unlocked. Inside was nothing but darkness, until she turned on her phone torch and saw it. Symbols on the wall. Candles arranged in a star. Photos of several girls, including Blessing. And a list. With her name next. Suddenly, The door slammed shut behind her. She screamed. 3 masked figures surrounded her. One grabbed her arm. Another pushed her against the wall. "She knows too much," a voice hissed. "You should have minded your business." But before they could do anything more, the dark shadow burst into the room. The shadow fought the masked figures off with desperate strength. One attacker pulled out a blade, slashing the dark shadow across the shoulder. Inim screamed again, this time with fire. She grabbed a metal rod from the ground and struck one of the attackers, knocking him unconscious. Alarms rang. Hostile security, alerted by the chaos, rushed in. They had the unconscious cultist. 2 fled into the night, but not before one dropped his mask. It was Daniel, one of the school research assistants. The Dark Shadow was a police detective sent by the state police commissioner, after Chinedu made a formal report. By morning, the entire campus was in uproar. Rumors swirled. Blogs published half-truths. One headline read, "University sex cult exposed BY student virgin and her businessman boyfriend." But just as quickly, the tide turned. Chinedu was accused of masterminding the cult himself. "They're framing me as a patron of the cultists," he told Inim in the campus clinic. "They think if I go down, you'll shut up." The university dissociated themselves from him pending investigation. The media fed on the scandal. Inim was ridiculed online. Old classmates from her village began mocking her again, but this time with venom. "I told you she was too holy," someone tweeted. "Even virgins cause trouble." She was called names. Shamed. Isolated. Until Blessing's parents arrived. She had been found, locked in a safe house far from campus. Drugged. Weak. But alive. Blessing told the truth. About the cult. About how they scouted vulnerable girls. How they promised wealth, protection, luxury. How refusal meant silence, or disappearance. She named names. Including Daniel. And she confirmed one thing that made everyone gasp. "Inim saved me." She wouldn't give up. Still, the cult had deep roots. More students were found complicit. Some lecturers too. One university board member resigned mysteriously. But the investigation moved slowly. Too slowly. One night, someone left a message on Inim's hostel door. "This is your last warning. Leave it alone." That same night, someone threw a stone through her window. Inside was a dead bird, its wings broken. Pastor Gideon arranged for Inim to move into a safe house. But she refused to disappear. She went public. On national TV. Sitting beside Blessing and Chinedu, who had been cleared, she told her story. "They mocked me for being a virgin," she said. "But that's not my weakness. That's my strength. I don't fight with fists, I fight with truth." Her interview went viral. Parents across Nigeria demanded change. Investigations deepened. Students began to speak up. Some even confessed their involvement, begging for protection in exchange for information. By the time Inim graduated with first-class honors, Kingsway University had been forced to reform its policies. Several staff members were dismissed. Police made multiple arrests. And the student cult. Dismantled. Inim turned down foreign scholarships to stay and work with grassroots youth initiatives. She launched Project Torchlight, a campus-wide movement to expose abuse, cultism, and sexual exploitation in tertiary institutions. Years later, when asked why she stayed in Nigeria instead of seeking a quieter life abroad, she smiled and said, "They mocked me for being a virgin. But that was never the story. The real story is how one voice, one light, one act of courage, can change everything."
A heartfelt thank you to all our African folktale, Nollywood, and AI short film lovers across the globe, especially our loyal viewers in the USA, UK, and Canada. You are the heartbeat of this storytelling journey. Here at Share Me Fame, we were the crown as the kings of African folktale stories 2025, the gods of Nollywood AI short films, and your go-to creators for next-level AI-assisted storytelling videos. Whether it's a short film about love, a short film of loneliness, or deep dives into mental health through AI-generated short films, we've got something for every soul. If you're into storytelling content, need storytelling sounds for videos, enjoy a short film by creative minds, or you're here to watch a short film that stirs emotions, Isijalu, Isixhosa, or any of our vibrant African voices, we've got you. So don't just scroll past. Like, subscribe, comment, and share this with your tribe. Help us grow this family of storytelling content creators, and keep bringing you more AI short film YouTube level 3 gems and storytelling tutorials you'll love. We're not just making content, we're preserving culture, pushing tech, and telling stories that matter.
Our part 3 of the They Mocked Her for Being a Virgin, But series continues. This episode is about how her wedding day revealed a dark family secret. As Inim prepares to marry Chinedu, their perfect life is thrown into chaos when a mysterious woman crashes the engagement ceremony, claiming to be Chinedu's first wife under traditional law. The revelation shocks everyone. But that was just the beginning. Inim discovers that her late father had a secret child, and that child might be connected to this new scandal. Torn between love and betrayal, Inim must dig into her family's past while questioning her own future. With the wedding postponed and her reputation hanging by a thread, Inim must uncover the truth before the lies destroy everything she's built. The hall was fragrant with fresh hibiscus flowers, the air tinged with the scent of roasted peanuts, cooking, and joy. Laughter rang out like music. It was Inim's engagement day, one she had dreamed of since she was a child in the quiet village of Ino. She had spent her youth mocked for her values, ridiculed for preserving her virginity in a world quick to discard innocence. Yet here she was, adorned in coral beads, her head held high beside Chinedu, the man who saw her worth long before the world did. Guests from Nigeria, the UK, and the US filled the venue, some family, some elders, many old classmates from university. The older women especially admired her. "She reminds me of when women had standards," one whispered. "She's pure, inside and out." But just as the music swelled and the engagement cake was about to be cut, a piercing voice echoed from the entrance. "That man cannot marry her. He is already married. To me." A hush fell over the crowd. A woman in her mid-30s stepped forward, eyes sharp, voice unwavering. She wore a faded lace gown and held up a wrinkled marriage certificate with trembling hands. Inim froze. Chinedu turned ghostly pale. "Who is this woman, Chinedu?" Inim asked quietly, her voice trembling. I don't know," he stammered. "This is a mistake." But the woman, Ngozi, wasn't backing down. "Under traditional Igbo law, Chinedu married me 6 years ago. In Umuaria. I was the first daughter of his father's closest friend. They arranged it. I have witnesses. Ask his mother." All eyes turned to Mama Chinedu, who sat speechless, her eyes darting nervously. Inim's heart cracked. The ceremony was halted. Guests left confused. The once joyful day ended with whispers and pitying glances. Inim sat alone in her bridal chamber, still dressed in her engagement gown, her fingers trembling over the jewelry Chinedu had given her. Her mother, Mama Inim, sat beside her in silence, then gently held her hand. "My daughter, the heart is the most powerful part of a woman, and the most fragile." Tears welled in Inim's eyes. "Mama, how can he betray me? After everything?" But this was only the beginning. 2 days later, while seeking comfort in her late father's chest of papers, Inim stumbled across something unexpected. A photograph of her father with a teenage girl who wasn't her. Tucked behind the photo was a letter written in his neat handwriting. "To my second daughter, Awil. I'm sorry I couldn't be present in your life. I hope one day, you and Inim will meet and find each other." Inim gasped. Her father had another child. A sister. Why had her mother never told her? She confronted her that night. Mama Inim looked away, tears forming. "Your father made a mistake before we married. He confessed on his deathbed. I didn't know how to tell you. You were still so young, and I feared it would change how you saw him." Inim's world swirled with confusion. Chinedu's betrayal. Her father's secret child. her postponed wedding. Her heart had no room left for breaking. But then, something struck her. The name Ngozi. In the marriage certificate presented by the mysterious woman, her name was listed as Ngozi Awil Namdi. Awil. Could this be the same girl? Could Ngozi, the woman claiming to be Chinedu's wife, also be Inim's half-sister? Haunted by questions, Inim sought the help of her cousin Amora, a legal intern in Lagos. Together, they began investigating Ngozi's background. What they found shocked them. Ngozi had grown up in foster homes, drifting between cities. Her mother had passed when she was just 8. Her father, unlisted. But in a dusty village registry in Umuahia, Amora found it. A birth record listing Ngozi's full name as Awil Ngozi Namdi, daughter of Namdi Ezekiel Etim, Inim's late father. She was her half-sister, and the man she nearly married may have once been tied, even unknowingly, to her own blood. When Inim confronted Chinedu, he sat her down with a weary expression. "I swear to you, I didn't know she was your sister. And I never truly married her. It was a family arrangement I never consented to. We never lived as husband and wife. She disappeared before the marriage was even registered officially in court. My mother pushed it through with the elders to save face." He held out a folder, court documents proving his challenge to the traditional marriage, which he'd filed 5 years ago. "She returned now because she knew I was getting married. And she wanted to ruin it." "But why?" Inim asked. "Why would my sister want to hurt me?" Chinedu hesitated. "She's angry, Inim. Abandoned. She believes her father, your father, rejected her. And now she thinks you got the life she deserved." Inim sat alone that evening, watching the sky darken. Across the ocean, elderly women in America and Britain often wrote to her after her videos. They admired her strength, her resilience, her purity in a world that sneered at it. They had warned her, the heart must be guarded even in love. Now she understood. She could forgive Chinedu, but could she trust him again? Could she love without clarity? Could she face her sister, knowing her existence had been hidden? The next morning, she visited Ngozi. They sat under the mango tree outside a quiet church. Ngozi looked tired, broken, even. "You found out?" Ngozi asked. "Yes," Inim said. "You're my sister." A long silence. "I hated you," Ngozi admitted. "Your face was on billboards. Everyone praised you. They called you pure. But no one ever praised me. I was left behind. I wanted what you had. I didn't take anything from you, Ngozi. I didn't even know you existed." Ngozi wiped her eyes. "I know. But it didn't stop the pain." They sat together, the breeze softening the moment. "You need help, Ngozi. Healing. Not revenge." "I don't want your pity." "I'm not offering pity," Inim replied. "I'm offering a chance, for us both." Weeks passed. Inim didn't rush back into wedding planning. Instead, she focused on family. She invited Ngozi to live with them for a while, under conditions of counseling and calm. Slowly, Ngozi began to open up. She smiled more. She even helped Mama Inim prepare ogbono soup one Sunday afternoon. Chinedu proved himself daily, visiting, supporting, never pushing. Eventually, he and Ngozi sat down and had a difficult but necessary conversation. Apologies were exchanged. Wrongs acknowledged. On a cool Harmattan morning, Chinedu proposed again. This time, quietly. No big crowd. No spectacle. Just Inim, standing under the mango tree where 2 sisters had once sat in silence. She smiled. Yes. Their wedding, months later, was smaller but deeper. Guests cried, not from drama, but from joy. Elderly women from the UK and Canada flew in, saying, "This girl reminds us of the strength we once had, and the grace we must still hold." Ngozi sat in the front row, wearing a soft yellow dress, holding a baby she later named Inimara, which to be translated means faith revealed. Our heroine, Inim, continues the story of her life in this 4th part of the They Mocked Her for Being a Virgin, but series with the subtitle, Her daughter was kidnapped by her former friend. Years after Inim and Chinedu built their happy family, tragedy strikes. Their first daughter, Zara, is kidnapped on her way from school. Clues begin to surface, pointing to someone from Inim's past. Lulu, her former friend turned bitter and desperate. Lulu, now childless and drowning in debt, blames Inim for her misfortune and plots a cruel revenge. As the investigation unfolds, Inim must confront old wounds, navigate blackmail, and negotiate with dangerous criminals, all while holding her family together. In a heartbreaking twist, she's forced to make an impossible choice: save her daughter or risk the life of another child in danger. The sun rose gently over Lagos, casting a golden glow across the rooftops of Victoria Garden City. Birds chirped, the street vendors stirred, and inside the Obasi household, the day began like any other. Inim stood by the dining table, placing a bowl of pap and akara before her daughter, Zara. At just 9 years old, Zara was the joy of her world. Bright-eyed, witty, and the perfect blend of Inim's quiet strength and Chinedu's fiery intelligence. "Mummy, will you braid my hair like yours tomorrow?" Zara asked, tugging gently on her puff. Inim smiled. "Only if you promise not to untie it by lunchtime like last time." They both laughed, unaware that this would be the last peaceful breakfast for a long time. That afternoon, the school driver arrived at the gate, without Zara. "She didn't show up at the pickup point," he said nervously. "Her teacher said she stepped out early." Panic sliced through Inim like cold metal. Within minutes, she and Chinedu were at the school. The teacher confirmed Zara had gone to use the restroom before closing but never returned. The police were contacted immediately. Flyers went up. Social media posts circulated. Missing 9-year-old child, Zara Obasi. Last seen wearing a blue pinafore school uniform and white sandals. Every second that passed felt like a scream in Inim's chest. Her baby, gone. 2 days later, a brown envelope appeared at their gate. No return address. Inside was a photograph of Zara, bound and gagged, sitting in a dark room. Scrawled across the photo in red ink, "You took everything from me. Now I'll take everything from you." There was no demand for money. No ransom. Just vengeance. Detective Olawale, a seasoned officer with grey temples and tired eyes, studied the message carefully. "This isn't a typical kidnapping," he said. "This is personal." He questioned everyone: teachers, drivers, staff. But it was Inim who had the epiphany. She stared at the note again, her mind spinning. "You took everything from me." A name surfaced from the depths of her past. Lulu. Once her closest friend. Once the ringleader of the girls who mocked her for being a virgin. Once the girl who lived wild and fast, and eventually, painfully, fell apart. Years ago, after Inim married Chinedu, Lulu's life took a tragic turn. Multiple abortions left her unable to conceive. She spiraled into toxic relationships and crippling debt. She moved from city to city, scamming and surviving. Word had it she blamed Inim for everything, from stealing Chinedu to pretending to be better than the rest. Now, Lulu was back, with vengeance. Detective Olawale followed the lead. Inim, against her family's protests, insisted on joining him. They tracked Lulu to a rundown apartment in Mushin. But she was gone, vanished just hours before they arrived. What they found was chilling. Drawings of Zara taped to the wall, photos of Inim's family taken without their knowledge, even a page torn from Inim's old university journal, her handwriting circled angrily. "She's been planning this for years," Inim whispered. And then, they found something else. A second child. A little girl no older than 5, asleep in a cot. She was dirty but unharmed. Her name was Kyoma. Lulu had abducted her 2 months before. But unlike Zara, no one had come looking and she had gotten tired of taking care of the baby. Inim held Kyoma's trembling hands. "You're safe now, my darling." But as she looked at the girl, a new fear surfaced. If Lulu had been willing to kidnap one child to punish her, what would she do when cornered? The next day, a new message arrived, via voice note. Lulu's voice, cracked and bitter. "I see you found my little helper. Cute, isn't she? I rescued her from the streets. No one wanted her. Just like no one wanted me. But now you're going to choose Zara or Kyoma. One goes free. The other, well, let's see if your god shows up this time. The world went still. Even the police were stunned. She's lost all sense, Olawale murmured. Inim broke down that night, crumpled on the floor of her living room. Mama Inim came in from the village, praying aloud, whispering Psalm 91 over her sleeping grandchildren. Chinedu raged, punching walls, threatening to tear the city apart. But it was Inim who made the decision. She called Lulu directly. I'll come alone, she said. Don't hurt either of them. I'm the one you want. Silence. Then Lulu's voice. Bring the girl. And no police. One of them stays behind. Inim arrived at the meeting point, a crumbling warehouse near the coast, at dawn. Kyoma clung to her hand. Inim's eyes scanned the darkness, heart pounding. Then Lulu stepped out. Older. Thinner. Her once stunning features now drawn and hard. But her eyes still burned with the same resentment. You look good, Inim, she said bitterly. Clean. Respected. Loved. I didn't steal your life, Lulu. No. You took everything I wanted. The grades. The praise. The man. The children. You destroyed yourself. And now you want to destroy me too. Lulu sneered, but her hand trembled. Zara appeared, pushed forward by a masked man. Tears stained her cheeks. Mummy. Inim's heart nearly gave out. You said one stays, Lulu said. Choose. I choose both, Inim said quietly. You don't have to do this, Lulu. It's not too late. Lulu's face cracked. For a moment, something human flickered. Then Zara screamed. The masked man pulled a knife. But suddenly, sirens, police, floodlights. Olawale had followed a GPS tracking of Inim's phone. Drop your weapons, the officers shouted. In the chaos, Lulu tried to run, but she was tackled. Screaming, cursing, crying. The masked man made to flee but was cut down by the police. He lay in a pool of his blood. Zara was safe. The trial was swift. Lulu was sentenced to life for kidnapping, endangerment, and assault. But Inim couldn't forget her face. Broken, bitter, yet strangely pitiful. Kyoma was taken into protective custody. Months later, after therapy and counseling, Zara began to smile again. She refused to sleep alone, clung to her mother often, and spoke little of the ordeal. But she was healing. One night, Inim tucked her in and whispered, You are brave. You are loved. You are safe. Mummy. Zara asked, Will Lulu come back? No, baby. Not ever again. And Kyoma. She remained in a children's home until the court finalized her adoption. By Inim and Chinedu. We couldn't leave her behind, Inim told the judge. She saved my daughter too. She deserves a home. Inim's story made headlines across Nigeria, and even reached elderly women's groups in London, Houston, and Toronto. They wrote to her, weeping as they praised her strength. One woman said, You remind me of how we used to raise daughters, with values, courage, and grace. Thank you for showing the world we are still here. Years later, as Inim watched her daughters graduate, Zara in law, Kyoma in child psychology, she thought of Lulu. Of how some girls, broken too early, lose their way. But she also thought of how one woman, once mocked for her purity, had raised warriors, through pain, love, and unshakable faith. Late one evening there was breaking news of a prison break. Lulu and some others had escaped.